And now let us talk about our next topic, which is called lists. Lists are very important in Python. Now, let me give you an example. Let's say that we have a user interface for a program, for a website. Doesn't really matter. Let's say that we have 3 buttons. Button 1, this is, let's say, will navigate to the main menu. Let's say a second button will open a file. You know those file open, settings and stuff. And then let's say that we have the help. We have a help button. It will take us to support. It will take us to some documentations. Now, if we want to implement this according to what we have learned so far, we would have created something like that. Let's say button, main, variable. Okay, let's say it equals to a string like main. We would create another button for file. It will equal to file. And then we will create another one. Let's say it's called help. And it equals to help. Okay, now we have defined 3 variables so far, and this is really a problem. Let's say that we have in our GUI around 100 buttons. Do we really need to define every single one of them just like that? Especially that maybe all the buttons have the same properties, the same shape, the same everything. Do I need to define it like that every single time? The answer is no. We won't be doing this. We will be doing something like that. We will define a list. We will call it buttons. And we will put all of our buttons inside. So this is an empty list right here. If we want to fill it, we would do something like that. So this is main. This is file. And this is help. Make sense? So this is how we define a list. Now, how can we access the elements of this list? There is something called index, which is the number corresponding for every element inside the list. And these numbers start with 0. So this is 0. This has an index of 1. And this has an index of 2. Okay? So if I say something like a print buttons, and we open a bracket, we say 0. What do you think it's going to print? Well, it will print the element that has index 0, which is main. Same thing, if you put 1, if you put 2, you will be printing file and help. This is how you access it. But the thing to remember is the access is always starting with 0. So the first element is not indexed as 1, it is indexed as 0. Okay? Alright. So let us write some code. I'm going to define a list that contains, let's say, names. So I'm going to have a very simplified database that contains names. And I'm going to do it like that. So names is equal to, let's say that we have 5 people here. First one is called James, Ellie, Mr. Homshow, Adam, and Ida. Okay, so this is called the list, and you see that the definition of a list is done by opening a bracket and putting all of our elements. Now, how about we create another list for the ages of each of these? Okay, so I'm going to say ages is equal to 24, 25, 21, 48, and 17. Okay, So as you can see, list can take numbers, it can take strings. You can put any type, actually, whatever type in Python inside a list. Now let's play around with accessing these. Now if I say print names, let's see, what would I be printing? Let me clear this. Print. As you can see, I print the whole list with the brackets if I try to print this variable. Now if I try to print ages, I will just get the same thing. Well, okay. Now, what if I wanna print the name and the age of the first element? How would I do it? Think about it. Talked about it a few minutes before. What I would do is print, then I would specify names and the index. Let's say I want to print the first element or the first person in my list. So this is James. So this is 0. And I want to print the age, even though the age is in a separate list. And this is not really preferable if you have a related list like that. There's another way to define them. But just for clarification purposes, this should be okay. Now I'm going to say ages 0. Okay, now if I click on run, and yeah, I'm going to remove these first, run again, you would see that James 24. Now let's say that I want to print the fourth person. Remember, this is the fourth person. What is the index of the fourth person? Well, we start from 0. So 0, 1, 2, 3. So the fourth person in our list has an index of 3. Okay, so if we put 3 here, what should we get? We should be getting Adam and 48. We got Adam and 48. See how indexing works? Now let's say that I put an index that does not exist. 6. You would get an error called list index out of range. It's important to remember this error because you might face it when you program in Python. When there is an error called list index out of range, simply this means that you're trying to access an element inside the list with an index that is out of the bound. The bound here is from 0 to 4, and we're trying to put 6. Same thing if we say 5, for example. If we try to run this, list out of range. Okay,